30 years of turning wrenches in a two-bay garage, and I still watch people hand over $300 for a repair that takes a sewing pin and about 40 seconds. Not because they're careless, because nobody ever stood in a driveway and showed them how. I'm Ted, and today it's 15 car tricks that sound too dumb to be real, and every one works on the vehicle parked outside your house right now. A few save you pocket change, 2 or 3 genuinely add years to the car. And number 1 is something you do at the gas pump every single week that quietly costs you money and never once shows up on a receipt. Let's start at 15. Number 15. Go out and look at your tires. Not the tread, the sidewall. Odds are it's gone gray and chalky, that dusty brown look rubber gets after a couple of summers baking in a driveway. Every auto parts store will sell you tire shine for $10 to $18, and most of it slings off onto your paint inside a week or turns into a grease magnet for road dust. Detailers figured out a cheaper answer years ago and never advertised it. Black shoe polish. The paste in the little flat tin, not the liquid with the sponge on top. Work it into the sidewall with an old boot brush in short circles, let it sit a minute, then buff it off with a dry rag. What you get is a flat, even black that stays put at highway speed and doesn't turn into a dust trap. A tin runs about $3 and lasts the better part of a year. One warning from me, and I mean this one. Tape off the wheel or shield it with cardboard, because shoe polish on a painted alloy rim is a genuine pain to get back off. Number 14. Now open the driver's door and look down at your pedals. That rubber pad on the brake, on the gas, on the clutch if you still row your own gears, takes a beating every day of its life. Heat cycles it, the sole of your shoe grinds at it, and eventually it goes hard and glassy and starts squeaking. Worse than the noise, it turns slick the second your shoes are wet, which is exactly the moment you want your foot staying put. An interior shop will quote you $50 to $80 for replacement pedal pads, and about half the time that rubber doesn't need replacing at all. It needs feeding. A dab of petroleum jelly worked into the surface with a fingertip brings the flex back, kills the squeak, and stops the cracking. Then wipe the excess off hard, because a greasy pedal is worse than a worn one. Straight talk, though. Petroleum softens some rubber compounds over the long haul, so if you want the version I keep on the shop shelf, buy a small tube of silicone paste instead. Same result, kinder to the rubber, still under $5. Number 13. Same scene plays out in trunks across the country every week. You load the groceries in, you take one normal corner on the way home, and by the time you're in the driveway, the eggs are upside down and the olive oil jar is rolling under the spare tire. Cargo organizers at the auto store are $25 to $60, and that one annoys me, because your car probably already came with the fix molded into the floor. Most SUVs, crossovers, minivans, and a surprising number of sedans from the last decade have retractable cargo hooks built into the trunk floor or the plastic side panels. They fold flush, which is exactly why nobody ever notices them. Pop the trunk, run your hand along the corners of the carpet and down the side walls, and look for small metal loops or recessed clips. Flip them up, hang the bag handles on them, and everything stands upright the whole drive home. 10 seconds, and you already paid for it the day you signed for the car. Number 12. This is the one that makes me laugh every time I see it billed as real work. Your washer fluid is spraying the roof, the wipers are smearing dry glass, and the passenger side is getting a bath while the driver's side gets nothing. The nozzles aren't broken. They're aimed wrong, usually from a car wash brush dragging across the hood or a hood slam settling them out of position. Each washer nozzle has a tiny ball tip with a pinhole in the middle. Slide the point of a sewing needle or a thin push pin into that hole, apply gentle pressure in the direction you want the spray to travel, and the ball pivots. Don't force it. Small nudge, hit the washers, watch where the water lands, nudge again. The whole job takes under a minute in your driveway. Shops write this up as a washer system inspection and bill $30 to $50 in diagnostic labor, which makes it the single most expensive use of a sewing needle in modern life. Number 11. Your windshield looks clean. You washed the car. You hit the glass with the blue cleaner. You wiped it down. Then the sun drops to that low angle over the highway, and suddenly you're squinting through a wall of white haze. That film is real, and it's mostly on the inside. It's soap residue, silicone that has off-gassed off your hot dashboard onto the glass, and road grease baked on by the sun. Plain white vinegar cuts through all of it. Mix it half and half with water in a spray bottle, mist the glass, and wipe with a clean microfiber towel. The acid dissolves the film and lifts the hard water spots, then evaporates completely and takes the grime with it, which is more than I can say for the perfumed blue stuff that costs $9 to $12 and streaks worse the harder you buff. A gallon of white vinegar is about $3 and does your glass, inside and out, for a year. Do the inside of the windshield first. That's where the haze actually lives. Number 10. Battery corrosion sneaks up on you. That crusty white and blue-green powder creeps around the terminal clamps over a few months, and then, on the coldest morning of the year, the starter goes click instead of crank. The panic move is buying a battery you didn't need. The shop move is $50 for a terminal cleaning. The cheap move is a can of cola. The acids in soda react with the alkaline crust and break it apart on contact, and you can watch it foam up and let go in real time. Pour a small amount over the terminals, wait 2 minutes, scrub with an old toothbrush, and now the step everybody skips. Rinse it thoroughly with clean water and dry every bit of it. Sugar left sitting on a battery post turns sticky, holds moisture against the metal, and brings the corrosion back worse than before. Rinse it properly, and your terminals come out looking like the day the car left the factory. After that, smear a thin film of dielectric grease on the posts, and you probably won't see it again for years. Quick favor before the good ones. If this has been useful, tap the like button. It helps this channel reach other drivers about to overpay for something silly. Back to the garage. Number 9. Bird droppings, tree sap, and that fine industrial grit you pick up on the interstate are not cosmetic problems. They're acidic, and left sitting in the sun, they will etch a permanent mark down into your clear coat. The instinct is to scrub them off dry with whatever rag is in the door pocket, which drags the grit across the paint and leaves swirl marks you'll see under every streetlight for the rest of the car's life. Baking soda solves it. Mix a spoonful with just enough water to make a loose paste, dab it onto the spot with a soft microfiber cloth, work it in with light circles, let it sit about a minute, then rinse it away with plenty of water. The baking soda neutralizes the acid chemically instead of grinding it off, so the contamination lifts rather than getting sanded down. 2 rules from me. Keep that paste wet because dry baking soda is mildly abrasive and you'll do the exact damage you were trying to avoid. And never work on a hot panel in direct sun. Paint correction at a detail shop starts around $150. A box of baking soda is $1.50. Number 8. Cloudy yellow headlights aren't just ugly. The polycarbonate lens has a thin factory ultraviolet coating on the outside, and once the sun eats through it, the plastic underneath oxidizes and starts scattering your beam sideways into the ditch instead of down the road. Your nighttime visibility drops off a cliff so gradually you never notice. Restoration kits at the parts store run $20 to $35. The garage version costs almost nothing. Grab plain white paste toothpaste, the gritty old-fashioned kind with no gel and no whitening beads. Put a generous blob on a damp cloth and scrub each lens firmly in small circles for about 2 minutes. The mild abrasive takes the oxidized top layer off and the haze goes with it. Rinse it clean and dry it. Then, while it's still fresh, put a thin coat of ordinary paste car wax on the lens and buff it out, because that wax is now doing the job the factory coating used to do. I'll be honest with you, this is a maintenance fix, not a permanent one, and you'll want to redo the wax every couple of months. But it costs about $5, and it beats handing a shop $80 to $150 for a machine polish. Number 7. Your air conditioning blows, but it blows lukewarm. You already changed the cabin filter. The refrigerant reads fine on the gauge. Everybody wants to talk about a recharge, and nobody walks around to the front of the car and looks. Behind your grill, right in front of the radiator, is the condenser. It dumps heat out of the refrigerant, and it can only do that if air genuinely flows through it. After a few summers of highway driving, it's packed solid with dead bugs, cottonwood fluff, and road dust. And once that airflow is choked, the system can't shed heat at all. It cools less, works harder, and loads up a compressor that costs over $1,000 to replace. The fix is a garden hose. Engine off and completely cool. Spray gently from the engine side outward so the debris gets pushed back out the front instead of packed in deeper. Gentle pressure only, because those aluminum cooling fins bend if you look at them wrong. Let it dry, then run the air conditioning. You will feel the difference on the very next drive. Do this every spring and the system will outlive the payments. Before number 6, one thing worth 60 seconds. Everything I've shown you so far came out of a book I put together called The Car Savings Manual. It's the whole list. What you can safely do in a driveway, what you should never touch without a lift, and the repairs shops mark up hardest, with the real part prices printed next to the quotes. The link is down in the description. Grab it, leave it in the glove box, and pull it out the next time somebody hands you an estimate. Now, number 6, and this is where the money starts getting serious. Number 6. One of your power windows is acting possessed. It stops halfway down, the one-touch quit working, and it only closes if you hold the button the entire time like you're operating a freight elevator. The quote for a window regulator is $200 to $400, and before you hand that over, try this. Modern power windows run through a control module that memorizes the top and bottom stopping points of the glass. If the battery has ever been disconnected, if the car took a voltage drop, if the door has been apart, that memory wipes and the window loses track of where it's supposed to stop. You teach it back in about 30 seconds. Hold the button down until the glass is all the way at the bottom, then keep holding for 3 more seconds. Now pull the button up, hold it until the glass is fully shut, and keep holding another 3 seconds. Let go and try the one touch. On a huge number of cars, that sequence hands the module its reference points back and the window behaves normally again. Shops file it under diagnostics and pocket $60 to $90 for a button sequence you just did for free. Number 5. You get out of the car in a hurry. You're halfway up the front path and the thought arrives. Did I lock it? So you walk back, you check, you feel a little foolish, and there goes 2 minutes of your morning. Almost every vehicle built after 2010 has an automatic locking function sitting in the body control module. It locks all 4 doors once you pass a set speed, usually somewhere between 8 and 15 miles per hour, or it locks the moment you shift into park and pull the key. The software is already in there. On plenty of cars, it just ships switched off from the factory. On a newer vehicle, you turn it on through the touchscreen under Vehicle Settings, then Doors and Locks, or sometimes under Security. On an older one, there's a button sequence on the door panel involving the lock switch and an ignition cycle, written in the owner's manual that's been sitting in your glove box untouched since the day you bought the car. Dealers will happily charge $50 to $150 to enable this as a convenience upgrade. Number 4. Rust doesn't announce itself. It starts where you never look, inside the rocker panels, in the seams at the bottom of the doors, on the lip inside the wheel arch, along the frame rails. By the time you see a bubble in the paint, the metal behind it has been dying for 2 or 3 years. Body shops charge $100 to $300 for an undercoating treatment, and a $3 can of WD-40 does a version of the same job. The W and the D stand for water displacement, which is literally what the stuff was invented to do. Spray it into the door seams, along exposed metal edges, around the wheel arch lips, and onto any bare metal you can safely reach underneath, especially in the fall if you live somewhere they salt the roads. Now, I'm not going to oversell this to you. It is not a permanent coating. It will not reverse rust that's already eating through metal, and it needs redoing twice a year. Keep it well away from brake rotors, brake pads, and any rubber in the suspension. Used properly, for the price of a coffee, it buys you real time on the parts of the car nobody thinks about until they fail an inspection. Number 3. Coffee on the seat fabric, a grease mark on the floor mat from a takeout bag, and that mystery stain in the back seat that's been there since March and has clearly decided it lives there now. Interior detailers charge $80 to $150 for upholstery cleaning, and for most household stains, you can beat them with a box of baking soda. Sprinkle a heavy layer of dry powder straight onto the stain and leave it at least 20 minutes, longer if it's old. It pulls the moisture and the smell up out of the fibers. Vacuum it out, then treat whatever color is left with a drop of dish soap in warm water and a soft brush. Blot it, don't scrub it, and air dry with the windows cracked. For grease stains, the order is everything. Dry powder first to pull the oil up, liquid second. Put water on a grease stain before the oil is out, and all you've done is push it deeper into the foam, and now you own a bigger stain than the one you started with. Number 2. Your dashboard has gone dull and gray. It grabs dust like it's magnetic, and whatever shiny protectant spray you used last time left a greasy sheen that made it worse. Interior conditioning at a detail shop is $40 to $80. The kitchen version is a few drops of olive oil on a microfiber cloth, never poured onto the dash directly, worked across the vinyl in long, even passes, and then buffed off hard with a second dry cloth. It sinks into the surface instead of sitting on top, so it doesn't grab dust the way silicone sprays do. And it puts flexibility back into plastic that spends every summer cooking under a windshield that works like a magnifying glass. And now the part the other videos leave out. Olive oil is food, and food eventually goes rancid. So use a tiny amount, buff it properly dry, and don't do it more than once a month. If your car lives outside in the sun all day, spend $8 on a water-based interior dressing instead. Either way, treating the dash is what stops it cracking, and a cracked dashboard is one of the very few things on a car you basically cannot fix cheaply. And now, number 1, the one that costs you money every single week and never shows up on a repair bill at all. Number 1. You pull into the gas station, you lock the pump handle wide open, and you stand there scrolling your phone while it hammers fuel into the tank at full speed. Feels efficient? It isn't. Modern pump nozzles have a vapor recovery system built in, and at full flow, a meaningful amount of the fuel you're paying for flashes into vapor and gets pulled back down into the station's underground tank. You get charged for it. You don't get to burn it. Pump on the slow click instead, roughly half speed, and more of what you're buying ends up as liquid in your tank. Slower flow also means the nozzle's automatic shutoff triggers accurately instead of overshooting, and that matters because topping off past that first click pushes raw fuel into the charcoal canister of your evaporative emissions system. A soaked canister sets a check engine light, fails you at inspection, and costs $200 to $600 to replace. Now, you'll hear people online claim slow pumping keeps sediment out of your fuel system too. That part is mostly folklore. There are filters between the station's tank and your engine doing that job already. The vapor loss and the canister damage are the real money. So there's your 15, and the same pattern runs through nearly all of them. Each fix is either a feature your car already came with that nobody switched on, or a 50-cent chemical doing the identical job as a $20 bottle with a nicer label. Start with the free ones this weekend. Flush the condenser, relearn the window, find the cargo hooks in the trunk, aim the washer nozzles. 4 jobs, 15 minutes, and somewhere between $300 and $600 that stays in your pocket. And if you want the rest of it, the full car savings manual is linked in the description below. Real part prices, the markup on every common repair, and the short list of jobs worth paying a professional for. Use it the first time a service advisor hands you a quote, and it pays for itself the same afternoon. Subscribe while you're down there, because next week I'm taking apart the 5 repairs shops recommend most often that your car almost never actually needs. I'm Ted, and I'll see you in the next one.